We're here at the Shepherds 360 conference, and I'm here with Dr. Paul Henebury, who just spoke about covenant theology. Dr. Henebury, what are the tenets of covenant theology, and are they biblical?
Okay, so covenant theology has a number of tenets. First of all, they have some covenants that are not found anywhere in the Bible. These are the covenant of redemption, which is supposedly a covenant arrangement between the persons of the Trinity before creation to save the elect. Then you have in time the covenant of works, which was given to Adam, which was basically the law that he was to follow perfectly. Within that, even though I didn't say it in the presentation, the tree of life is also prohibited, not just the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He has to earn his way to the tree of life, okay, through the law. He fails. So another covenant is introduced, which is not another, it's the covenant of redemption, but this time called the covenant of grace. And all of God's people, from Genesis right through to Revelation, are included in the umbrella of the covenant of grace. And all of the biblical covenants are included within the covenant of grace. And then also, I think an important part of this is that they believe you argue from the cross. So you argue from the New Testament, well, particularly Paul's epistles, back into the Old Testament. And since there's only one people of God in the covenant of grace, all of those prophecies that are given to Israel, all of those covenants that God swore to Israel for land and people and blessing on Jerusalem and so on, they're all given to the church, but in a spiritualized way.
Reading the Bible backwards. They should
what I
be
think
reading
they're
it
doing,
from Genesis
yes.
to Revelation. But now, real quick, can you give us maybe what are some of the dangers of having this hermeneutic? What are some dangers of viewing all the biblical covenants as subservient to these unbiblical covenants?
Well, the problem is that you're, first of all, that you are there's a presumption, and it's a presumption over what God is actually saying. So the presumption is that you can cobble together these non-biblical covenants and impose them on the Bible and still read the Bible for what it says. Well, you can't. And it's demonstrable that you can't do that. The second thing is because God makes oaths. God makes oaths with himself. In Hebrews 6, he says so that he could swear by no other. He swore by himself to Abraham. Well, if God makes an oath to do something, he's jolly well going to do it. He's bound to do it because he's bound his character to do exactly what that oath says. And what covenant theology does is not allow God to mean what he says in those covenants that he takes. And therefore, God himself becomes someone who says one thing, even in an oath, and does something else. And just think about this. So marriage is a covenant in the Bible. Okay, so when you marry your wife, you make certain pledges towards the wife. You can't switch the wife out. You can't switch the parties out. You know, the wife is the wife, the husband's the husband, and what they've contracted, or well, not covenanted to do, is what they're supposed to do before God. Well, God also makes covenants. He doesn't have to, but he does because we're dim. And we have a tendency not to believe him. So those covenants, the Noahic covenant, the Abrahamic covenant, the Mosaic covenant, the priestly covenant, the Davidic covenant, and the new covenant, these are covenants that God himself swears and enters into. I have a question for you. If I may.
Yeah, please do.
So the Noahic covenant, okay, that covenant was that God would not bring again a global flood upon the earth.
Yes.
Okay. So can God now bring a global flood upon the earth?
No.
Why not?
Because he promised he wouldn't.
Okay. Now you understand
Absolutely.
How covenants bind God. You cannot change them out. You have to believe them. And if you don't believe them, then what do you do with the character of God?
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
That's the problem.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.